Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's November 26, 2019. We got a break in the weather. It's gonna get up to 50 degrees Fahrenheit today. The sun's out, so it's like hitting the lottery here. And so the last couple of days I've been doing work around in the gardens and transplanting some of the perennials as well from the hardwood cuttings. And during that Arctic blast that we had that lasted several days, we had so many days where it was way below freezing temperatures, and we had a significant windstorm. So as a result, I never got to the persimmons on the persimmons tree before they had actually turned to mush or before all of the persimmons were all over on the ground. I went ahead and picked them all up, put them into a bucket in anticipation for a day like today. Now previously I've shared with you the air pruning system for growing different trees so that it makes transplanting trees much easier after the trees have put on a year or a full season or potentially even 2 seasons of growth, depending on how dense they are packed into an air pruning bed. I got this idea from Sean from Edible Acres and from Akiva Silver from Twisted Tree Farm. I'll put links to both of their YouTube sites. They're both loaded with lots of great information, and I think it'd really be worthwhile visiting their channels and seeing what they have to offer if you like the sorts of things that I'm posting about. So I'm using scrap materials for the most part for creating these air pruning beds. Now these scrap materials, like here's a 2x8 that's several years old. These ones are often, when they get to this point, I use them on top of the tarps that I lay down over the gardens for oculation and for protecting it from all the windblown and snowblower blown seeds that I stir up during the winter months. So I try to protect the beds, get them ready for spring pretty early. And old boards I use like this, and then the next thing I do with them is I use them in the hugelkultur system. So this wood actually gets, the carbon in this wood actually gets incorporated into the soil ultimately. So what I did yesterday was, I went out back and got some of my old 2x12s, and those are the ones that are the floor joists in the sugar shack. And I went ahead and cut them up. So I cut them some 2x12s into 4-foot lengths, a couple of them 4-foot lengths, and some that are just shot 21 inches instead of being 24 inches, and that makes a box frame that's 2 feet by 4 feet. And these are quite heavy, these buggers are. Then what I did, I took some 5-inch wood screws and screwed the box together so that there's a really good purchase, a good secure binding. Then I used some 1/4-inch hardware cloth, stapled it to the base of this frame, then took some scrap 2x2s, attached that on the other side of the frame. So now instead of this being 12 inches tall, it's actually like 14 inches. Actually not that much, because they're actually 1.5-inch dimensions, 15.5 inches. So then, so that creates a potential airspace below this hardware cloth. So when the roots of the tree, once the seeds start germinating, they're going to send down the roots, and they may come down as a single taproot initially and not really send out too many lateral roots. It's really helpful if we have an air pruning system, because that'll help to prevent the roots from circling around in a pot, becoming root bound, and from the roots growing down out of the box down into the soil. During the winter months, this will sit right on the ground, and fortunately I still have some leaves, so I'll put the leaves down first, put this box on top of the leaves, and that'll allow the leaves to go right up against the base of this. The worms will break down the leaves over the winter months, and those leaves will collapse, but this whole box, after it's filled up, will be covered with leaves for a mulching system to help prevent everything from freezing completely solid. So what I'll do, I'm going to make another one of these boxes in just a minute, and using 2x8 scrap wood, and I'll show you how I do that. And then after I get done making these boxes, I'm going to go ahead and put this over in an area, put it down, add compost to the system, puree the persimmons, and spread that mush out all over the surface of the compost that's in here. Put a little bit of compost over the surface of that, and then cover it up. Now I don't anticipate, now with the acorns, the mice and squirrels and chipmunks will be getting into that and getting into all the acorns. If I had something like that again, I'd be putting more hardware cloth over the top of it, sealing it down, so I wouldn't have to worry about the little critters getting into all of the seeds that are here. Will mice get into there and eat some of these? Potentially, yes. If I have enough extra hardware cloth or material, I can lay that down on top to help keep the mice out of it. The mice will get into this. That'll be okay. So once the seeds are in it, within the compost, I have it covered up for the winter time. Next spring what I'll do, and this will be really super heavy, I still have to figure out how I'm going to make straps that can go underneath it. But by using a second height raising set of boards, I should be able to take a steel bar, drag it underneath this, grab one of my straps, bring it around, and since I have Bumblebee, the mini excavator, I'll use the excavating bucket, that one that has teeth on it. I should be able to pick this up, and then I could set it up on some 6x6 beams, so that when those plants really start growing and sending down all their roots, they are going to get air pruned, because as soon as the roots hit the base of this and they're exposed to the air, that'll force the roots to send out lateral supportive roots to provide nutrients for this. Ultimately, at some point in time, I'm going to create a nursery area where I can do this, where I can still use a piece of equipment to pick this up, because this will be too darn heavy once it's filled with soil for me to pick up and not hurt myself. So I hope that all makes sense. So there'll be some GoPro footage of me actually putting together the 8-inch tall board. Again, I'm using scrap wood. So that with the 8-inch, I'll use 5-inch long wood screws to hold the frame together. Then I'll use 2.5-inch wood screws. Then I'll staple the hardware cloth onto one side of it. Then use some 2x2s or whatever materials I've got. Screw those in with 2.5-inch or 3-inch screws. Then I'll put a second board that helps to raise the height up even higher off the ground, and with those I'll use some more 5-inch screws. So it's all held together pretty darn well. So we'll see how this works. Okay, I just finished getting the two air pruning beds set. They're 2 foot by 4 foot. One's 12 inches tall, the other one's 8 inches tall. In the 12-inch tall, I put the black locust seeds. I took those seeds, put them in a bucket, put the water just above the level of the seeds, use my paint mixer or mortar mixer paddle apparatus that hooks into the cordless drill, stirred it around for a while, broke open the seeds shell, husk on it, and they've been sitting around, and during the winter time this should hopefully stratify them. If not, we just got to be more patient. So I put compost inside of each one of those beds, put the black locust seeds in the 12-inch tall, the 2 by 12 air pruning bed, and I put the persimmons, after I beat those with the same mixing paddle attached to the drill, got those mixed together, added some water to that, and then I mixed it around a little bit in the surface of the compost. Then I went and got a few loads of leaves, put them right on top of it, patted it down some. Now we have real high winds here. That's to the west over there. The wind's going to come up over that big valley, and it's going to break through these trees. At least there's some diffusion there, and that's the place where we're working on one of our living fences now. But the winds really come across here. Tomorrow we'll have high winds, but one of the things I do after I get the leaves on top of it, I use some of our old fencing. They're about 1 by 3 or 1 by 4 inch slots in them, galvanized metal, and I just lay that down over it. The air will go through the fencing, and that will help to hold the leaves down. And if I have to add more leaves, I will do that, or I'll dig up some wood chips as well. I think this will work. I purposely have it right next to the pond because those leaves, when I uncover it in the springtime, they'll be used to help seal the pond, so it's right next to the pond as well. So that's what we've got done so far. So if you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Ask at will. And by all means, folks, have a great day. Bye-bye now.